Be me. 26 F. Getting my master's in gender media and culture. I'm a professional at identifying problematic narratives in society. My thesis is on how fringe online misogyny seeps into mainstream political discourse. I'm not just some ordinary feminist. I'm published in a few small academic journals. I have a modest but respectable 15k followers on Twitter who hang on my every word. My life is footnotes, Foucault, and fighting the good fight from my MacBook Pro. My friends and I have a group chat. Mostly we just share links to articles and dunk on clueless dudes. One day my friend Sophia drops a link. It's a podcast clip on YouTube, titled Why Modern Women Are Undateable, Oh Good God.gif. The host is some guy named Marcus Vance, calls his show The Axiom. He's not the typical angry-looking guy in a car ranting. He's worse. He's well-spoken, probably late 30s, has a nice microphone, a bookshelf behind him, the intellectual manosphere type, the most dangerous kind. In the clip he's talking about how dating apps have created a paradox of choice for women, leading to unrealistic standards and widespread loneliness for the average man. He's using all these buzzwords like hypergamy and citing some study about Gini coefficients on Tinder. It sounds smart. If you don't know, he's just dressing up incel talking points in a cheap suit. I'm furious. Not just angry, but that deep, academic fury. This is exactly what my thesis is about. I spend the next hour crafting the perfect Twitter thread. I pull quotes, I debunk his sources, I link to bell hooks and Butler, I call him a pseudo-intellectual grifter peddling snake oil to lonely men. It does numbers. 2,000 retweets. My mentions are a war zone of my followers cheering and his fans calling me a blue-haired witch. Feelsgoodman.jpg. I'm the main character for the day. A few days later, I get an email from contact@theaxiom.com. Subject, your Twitter thread. My heart skips a beat. It's him. The email is short, polite, and infuriatingly condescending. Dear Grace, I saw your thread regarding my work. It seems we have a fundamental disagreement. I'd like to offer you a chance to defend your position. I'm inviting you to be a guest on my show for a live, long-form debate. Let's have a real conversation instead of trading barbs on social media. Regards, Marcus Vance. Oh, it is on. This is the moment I've been training for. All those late nights in the library, all those arguments in lecture halls. This isn't just about me. This is for every woman who's been talked over, dismissed, or mansplained to. I'm going to walk into the lion's den and walk out with the lion's pelt. I show the group chat. They go wild. OMG, Grace, you're going to destroy him. Record it so we can use clips for TikToks. This is your superhero origin story, Grace. Their hype is my hype. The confidence is surging. I email back, Mr. Vance, I accept. I'm happy to deconstruct your flawed arguments in a public forum. We schedule it for 2 weeks out. Preparation mode activated. I'm not just rereading my course material. I'm doing Oppo research. I listen to 10 of his back episodes. I make notes of his recurring arguments, his pet phrases, his weak spots. He loves talking about male suicide rates, workplace deaths, and the family court system. Classic whataboutism, easy to deflect. He thinks he's a logician, a man of facts. But I know his kind. Their logic is just a fragile shield for their emotional biases. I prepare my opening statement, my rebuttals, my closing argument. I have stats and studies on the wage gap, domestic violence, the psychological burden of emotional labor. My roommate asks if I'm nervous. I laugh. Nervous. I'm about to publicly end a man's career. The night of the debate arrives. It's a live video stream. I get set up in my apartment. Good lighting, my most intellectual-looking turtleneck, a glass of water. He appears on the screen. He smiles. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time. That calm demeanor again, trying to throw me off, not gonna work. He has about 5,000 live viewers, way more than usual. My followers showed up. He does a brief intro, lays out the rules. We'll tackle one topic at a time. No interruptions. Be civil. He lets me start. I launch into my opening statement. I talk about the historical context of patriarchy, structural power imbalances, how his rhetoric, even if calm, contributes to a culture of misogyny that has real-world consequences. I feel like I'm flying. The words are flowing perfectly. I finish, take a sip of water, and wait for his stammering defensive response. He just nods slowly. Okay, thank you for that. I hear the word patriarchy a lot. For the sake of clarity, could you define what it means to you in a practical sense, in the West in 2025? An easy one. I give the standard academic definition. A social system where men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property, he says. Okay, so what I'm hearing is a system of male control. In that context, could you help me understand a few things? Men make up over 90% of workplace fatalities. They make up roughly 80% of suicide victims. They make up the vast majority of the homeless population. In family court, mothers receive custody over 80% of the time. Men receive far harsher sentences for the same crimes as women. If men are the ones with all the power and control, why is the system so brutal to so many of them? The whataboutism I predicted. I'm ready. Those are serious issues, I say, trying not to sound dismissive. But they are symptoms of a toxic masculinity that patriarchy itself creates. It forces men into dangerous jobs, tells them not to show emotion, and treats them as disposable. It's two sides of the same patriarchal coin. I lean back, satisfied. Checkmate, he says. So if a man falls from a skyscraper to his death, or loses his children in court, or ends his own life because of profound despair, the root cause is a system that's supposedly benefiting him. Isn't it a bit convenient to label every single negative male outcome as a self-inflicted wound from their own system of power? Can you see how a man in one of those situations might not feel very privileged? The live chat is scrolling fast. I can't make out most of it, but I'm seeing a lot of question mark emojis. I'm a little flustered. It's a structural analysis, not about individual feelings. But structures are made up of individuals, right? He cuts in, breaking his own rule. And if the structure is consistently producing these horrific outcomes for the supposed ruling class, maybe the structure isn't what we think it is. He's twisting my words. We move on to the wage gap, my home turf. I hit him with the 82 cents on the dollar figure. He doesn't dispute it. He just says, that's the unadjusted gap, correct? It doesn't account for job type, hours worked, or years of experience. When studies adjust for those factors, the gap shrinks to around 2 to 3 cents, and even that is debated. Do you think a woman should be paid the same as a man for doing a different job with fewer hours? But why do women choose lower paying jobs and work fewer hours? I retort, because of societal pressure, the burden of childcare, and patriarchal expectations. I agree that's a factor, he says, and my heart sinks. He's agreeing with me. But is it the only factor? Studies in egalitarian countries like Sweden, where they've pushed for gender-neutral career choices for decades, have shown women still gravitate towards people-oriented fields like nursing and teaching, while men gravitate towards thing-oriented fields like engineering and programming. Is it possible that, on average, men and women have different career preferences, and those preferences are not entirely a social construct? I try to argue, bringing up social conditioning, but he just keeps asking quiet, annoying questions. So at what age does this conditioning start? Is it in the womb? Are parents who buy their daughter a doll and their son a truck committing an act of patriarchal violence? Where does personal choice in biology begin, and the structure end? I feel my arguments turning to sand. He's not shouting, he's not calling me names. He's dismantling me with a calm, Socratic method. And it's infuriating. The next hour is a blur. We talk about dating, #MeToo, reproductive rights. Every point I make, he meets with a calm counterpoint. A statistic I hadn't heard of, or a simple question that reframes the issue in a way that makes my position sound extreme. He's not denying women's problems, he's just listing men's problems next to them and asking, does this look like a one-sided power structure to you? By the end, I'm exhausted. The live viewer count is up to 15,000. I give a weak closing statement, something about lived experience being more important than his skewed data. He gives his. He thanks me for my time, says he hopes the conversation gave people something to think about, and signs off. The stream ends. I slam my laptop shut. My hands are shaking. I immediately open the group chat. It's silent. I type, well, that was something. Sophia responds after a minute. Grace, you okay? He was a slippery one. That's it? A slippery one? I go to Twitter. It's a bloodbath. His fans are posting clip after clip of my flustered moments. The part where I couldn't answer the question about patriarchal laws. The part where I stammered on wage gap controls. They're not even being that mean. They're just saying she was unprepared or he was very patient with her, which is so much worse. My own followers are MIA. No defense, no you slayed queen, posts. I find a thread on a subreddit about podcasts. The title is Marcus Vance just patiently dismantles a gender studies grad student for 2 hours. It has thousands of upvotes. The comments are brutal. She's a perfect example of someone who's only ever existed in an echo chamber. You could see the moment her brain blue-screened when she realized her buzzwords had no power in the real world. He didn't even need to win. He just let her talk and she defeated herself. I don't sleep that night. Or the next. I'm humiliated, mortified. My academic authority is shattered. My online persona is a joke. I stop going to my lectures. I can't face my professors or classmates. I imagine them all having watched it, laughing at me. The anger starts to curdle into something else. Vengeance. He did this to me. He lured me into a trap. He used my own platform against me. He set his mob of angry men on me. That's it. Harassment. I'm back in the group chat. A woman on a mission. He incited a targeted harassment campaign against me. The comments, the DMs I'm getting. This is illegal. My friends, probably feeling guilty for their silence, jump on board immediately. Yes, Grace, you're a victim. This is what they do to silence women. You should sue him for defamation, for harassment. The word sue hangs in the air. It sounds crazy, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I need to restore my reputation. I need to prove he was in the wrong. I need to make him pay. I find a law firm, a small, all-female practice that specializes in discrimination and online harassment cases. I meet with a lawyer, a woman in her 30s named Jessica. I lay it all out. The debate, the clips, the online comments, the DMs filled with nasty messages. I frame myself as the victim of a coordinated attack orchestrated by Marcus. Jessica is nodding. Her expression sympathetic. She says it's a classic case of misogynistic backlash. She says we have a real shot. The legal theory is flimsy, but I'm too angry to see it. We're suing for defamation. He made me look incompetent, damaging my academic career. An intentional infliction of emotional distress. The harassment campaign. The retainer fee is $10,000. I drain my savings account. I tell my parents it's for a special research project. I start a GoFundMe. Help me fight a misogynist podcaster in court. It takes off at first. My core followers donate. We raise about $15,000 in the first week. Then it stalls. We file the lawsuit. The news gets picked up by a few blogs. It gives me a temporary hit of validation. I'm fighting back. Marcus announces the lawsuit on his show. He doesn't seem angry. He seems tired. He says he believes in free speech, and that he's disappointed I chose litigation over conversation. Then he announces that a major free speech organization has taken his case pro bono. And they're not just defending him, they're filing an anti-SLAPP motion. I have to Google it. Strategic lawsuit against public participation. It's a motion to dismiss frivolous lawsuits aimed at silencing critics. And if they win, I might have to pay his legal fees. A cold dread begins to creep in. The legal process is slow and soul-crushing. The first major step is discovery. His legal team sends over a request for documents. They want every email, text message, and social media DM I sent or received relating to Marcus Vance from a month before the debate to the present day. I'm sitting with Jessica in her office as we go over the request. This is standard procedure, she says, but she looks a little worried. I think back. Oh no. The DMs with my friends in the patriarchy slayers. The messages where I said I was going to verbally disembowel him live. The ones where I called him a balding incel and said I was only doing the show to harvest his tears for my victory vlog. The emails I sent to a colleague workshopping the most vicious insults for my Twitter thread. The GoFundMe planning, where we strategized how to frame it for maximum sympathy. It's all there. A complete, written record of my malice and premeditation. My narrative of a naive victim being ambushed by a powerful man completely falls apart. Their narrative is that I'm a malicious actor who initiated a confrontation, lost, and then filed a bad faith lawsuit to punish him for it. And I've provided all the evidence to prove them right. Jessica's tone changes over the next few weeks. Our meetings are shorter. She's less optimistic. She tells me the anti-SLAPP hearing is scheduled. Grace, our case for defamation is weak, she starts. He was mostly asking questions and using your own words. To prove emotional distress, we have to prove his conduct was extreme and outrageous, which is a very high bar. And our own communications. They don't help, she says, avoiding my eyes. She advises me to seek a settlement. Drop the suit, and maybe they won't come after me for their legal fees. My pride won't let me. No. We fight. She just sighs. The day of the hearing is a nightmare. It's not even a trial. It's just lawyers in a room with a judge. Marcus's lawyer, a sharp-looking man in an expensive suit, lays it all out. He presents the initial Twitter thread, my invite acceptance, and then the DMs. He reads them out loud. My plans to destroy him, my insults, my arrogance. Then he presents Marcus's behavior, calm, inquisitive, giving me the floor. The judge, a woman in her 60s, looks at my lawyer and says, "Counselor, what am I missing here? It looks to me like your client picked a fight, lost, and is now trying to use the court system to have a do-over. This is precisely what anti-SLAPP statutes are for." My lawyer has nothing. She mumbles something about the totality of the circumstances. The judge isn't having it. The lawsuit is dismissed. With prejudice. The judge grants their anti-SLAPP motion. I am ordered to pay for the defendant's legal costs. The bill arrives a month later. The pro bono firm isn't billing for its top lawyers, but they bill for paralegals, filing fees, expert consultations, thousands of little things. The total is $72,450, $72,000. I drop out of my master's program. I can't afford it. I can't face anyone. My GoFundMe is frozen and I have to refund the donations. My parents are horrified. They take out a second mortgage to help me, but their disappointment is a physical weight in our house. They don't understand any of it. You sued someone because you lost an argument online, my dad asks, and I have no answer. Be me. 28F, barista at a Starbucks in a suburb I don't know. Moved an hour away to escape the humiliation. Deleted all my social media. My master's thesis sits half-finished on a hard drive I never open. My shifts are long. I steam milk, call out names, and wipe down counters. Sometimes I see college kids come in, talking loudly about their sociology classes and some problematic thing they saw on TikTok. They look like children to me. Marcus Vance's podcast is bigger than ever. He has a new, fancier studio. A friend from my old life texted me a picture a few months ago. In the background of his new set, on the bookshelf, is a little framed plaque. You can just barely read what it says. Studio upgrades partially funded by a frivolous lawsuit. I make $17 an hour, after taxes, and my monthly payment plan to his law firm. I take home almost nothing. I spend my evenings alone in my tiny apartment, watching old TV shows. Sometimes, a customer will look at me for a second too long, a flicker of recognition in their eyes. "Hey, don't I know you from somewhere?" I just shake my head. No. I just have one of those faces. My hands still smell like burnt coffee when I go to sleep. TFW, you try to slay the dragon and end up shoveling its dung for the rest of your life.